Ever wondered why some arguments seem to hit below the belt rather than addressing the point at hand? Welcome to this deep dive into the world of logical fallacies, the clever traps that often lurk in the shadows of debates and discussions. They're like quicksand, easy to fall into but tricky to get out of. Today we're focusing on a particularly crafty culprit, the ad hominem fallacy. It's Latin, meaning to the person. Instead of addressing the actual argument, this fallacy takes a detour, attacking the person who made it. It's like saying, you're wrong, not because your argument lacks merit, but because I don't like your shoes. Sounds absurd, right? Yet it's alarmingly common, used as a smokescreen to deflect attention from the real issues at hand. It's a master of deception, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But fear not, we're about to unmask this imposter. It's about time we got into the nitty-gritty of this pervasive form of deception. Let's dive into the world of ad hominem, where the person, not the argument, takes center stage. Imagine a political debate, where instead of addressing the proposed policies, a candidate resorts to questioning the opponent's character or personal life. For instance, how can you trust candidate A with our economy when they've gone through 2 bankruptcies in their personal life? Here, the focus shifts from the policies to the personal failures of candidate A, which may or may not have relevance to their ability to manage an economy. Now let's zoom into the world of social media. An individual posts a well-researched article about climate change, only to be met with comments like, "You're just a high school student, what do you know about the complexities of climate change?" This is a classic ad hominem fallacy, attacking the person's age and presumed lack of knowledge, rather than the argument they're presenting. Lastly, consider a personal conversation between 2 friends, debating about a movie. One might say, well, you liked that awful sci-fi movie last year, so your taste in films is questionable at best. The argument here is no longer about the merits or demerits of the movie in question, but an attack on the other's taste in films. In all these examples you may notice a common thread. The person making the argument becomes the focus, not the argument itself. It's an attempt to discredit the argument by discrediting the person. But it's essential to remember that an argument's validity is independent of who's making it. Ad hominem fallacies are everywhere, from the highest levels of political discourse to the most casual conversations among friends. It's a tactic that's easy to resort to, especially when the argument becomes challenging. But it's also a tactic that undermines the essence of a good debate or discussion, which is to engage with ideas, not the people behind them. As you can see, ad hominem fallacies can be as subtle as they are destructive. Now that we've seen ad hominem fallacies in action, how do we spot them in the wild? Well, the first telltale sign is a sudden shift from the argument at hand to the person making it. This often happens when one party is losing ground in the debate and resorts to personal attacks to regain footing. Next, watch out for attempts to discredit the argument based on personal traits or actions. For instance, someone might say, "You can't trust John's opinion on climate change, he drives a gas-guzzling car." Here, the focus has been shifted from John's argument to his personal lifestyle, which is irrelevant to the climate change debate. Finally, ask yourself, does the personal attack have any bearing on the topic at hand? If not, it's likely an ad hominem fallacy. Remember, an ad hominem attack is a magician's trick, diverting your attention from where it should be. So keep your eyes on the argument, not the person making it. So, we've spotted an ad hominem fallacy. What's next? How do we counter this devious tactic? Great question. Let's dive into this together. First and foremost, keep your cool. It's easy to get riled up when personal attacks are thrown around, but remember, you're in a debate, not a boxing ring. Take a deep breath and focus on maintaining a calm, rational demeanor. Now, on to the strategies. Strategy 1, refocus the argument. An ad hominem attack is an attempt to distract from the actual issue at hand. So, bring the discussion back to the main point. For instance, if someone says, "You're just a teenager, what do you know about politics?" You could respond, "My age is not the issue here, let's get back to discussing the policy in question." Strategy 2. Question the relevance. Ask the attacker to explain how your personal characteristics are relevant to the argument. By doing this, you're not only pointing out their fallacy, but also forcing them to rethink their strategy. For example, if someone says, "You've never run a business, so you can't understand economics," you could reply, "Can you explain how my personal experience invalidates the economic theories we're discussing?" Strategy 3. Call out the fallacy directly. Sometimes it's best to be direct and point out the ad hominem fallacy. You could say, "You're attacking me personally, not my argument. Can we focus on the issue at hand?" Remember, the aim is not to attack the person who used the fallacy, but to point out the fallacy itself. This way you're emphasizing the importance of logical, rational discourse over personal attacks. Finally, practice makes perfect. The more you engage in debates, the better you'll become at spotting and countering ad hominem fallacies. It's a skill that requires patience and persistence, but it's definitely worth the effort. Remember, the best defense against an ad hominem attack is a good offense. A strong, logical argument. So the next time you're in a debate, keep these strategies in mind and you'll be equipped to tackle any ad hominem fallacy that comes your way. Ad hominem fallacies, once spotted, lose their power. You've got this. And just like that, we've delved into the world of the ad hominem fallacy. Remember, it's the fallacy where an argument is dismissed not based on the argument itself, but on some personal characteristic or behavior of the person making the argument. We've walked through some common examples and you've seen how they can sneak into our everyday conversations and formal debates alike. Spotting them is half the battle, and you're now equipped to recognize them when they arise. But more importantly, you've learned strategies to counter them effectively. Use these tools to navigate your debates with grace and precision. Apply this knowledge and you'll not only enhance your argumentative skills, but also promote a more respectful and productive discourse. So, next time you're in an argument, keep an eye out for those ad hominem attacks. You now have the tools to spot and counter them. Happy debating.